Hi, Mr. Bailey. This is my book project, and I'm here with Cora.
Hi,
And yeah, I must betray you by.
Ruda Sapides.
Okay, the hook I chose for this was evil is always unspectacular and always human, and shares our bed and eats at our table. This quote infers to how people in Romania were influenced by the government to become informers, which are people that help the government by acting as everyday citizens and telling on people if they did bad things. Okay, the setting is Romania in 1989. It is since it's in the lower part of Europe, it's very cold. The government kind of paved over everything, so there's no trees or grass, wildlife, and everybody lives in kind of these concrete buildings that are alike. And the government did this so people would lose individuality. Okay, so the characters are Christian Florescu. He's a kind character and he knows English, and he likes Liliana Pavel, which is she's the friend and love interest of Christy, which is what Christian goes by. And she's kind of shy, and she's kind of just there because Christian likes her. And then we have Agent Paddlehands, who is a Sescu agent, which stands for Securitate, which are the people who run the informer operation. And as I said before, informers are people that tell the government if someone did anything bad, and they're usually just normal people at that point. And then there's Bruno, which is Christian's grandfather. He doesn't like the government. Even though he's like old and he's very sick, he's always feeling rebellious and he always speaks his mind, so he has no filter. And then there's Luca. Luca, he's kind of Christian's friend from the beginning. They have like a couple fights, but he always like stays close to him. And then there's Dan Van Dorn, which is the son of Mr. Van Dorn, who works at the U.S. Embassy in Romania. He kind of just shares his thoughts on what Romania feels like, and he's kind of like spoiled in Christian's eyes because he's like multiple pairs of shoes and all this clothing and all this food. And then Cece is the sister of Christian. Her goal is to get passports for the two of them and leave the country, and she does this by becoming an informer herself. And that's like a Romanian driver's license because she's always wanted one of those. And then there's the dumpster up there because she ends up dying in the book and she's thrown into a dumpster during the riots. Okay, here's the scene summary. Christian is living a boring life in Bucharest, the main capital of Romania, controlled by a dictator, Ceausescu, and his wife. They run operations that cause unrest by making people informers. People that tell the government if you did something bad or illegal. One day, Christie is blackmailed by an informer, which leads him to become an informer himself, and following the doing of a Sescu agent named Paddlehands. He likes this girl named Liliana, and something happens between them to make her think that he's an informer. He thinks then he is tasked by Paddlehands to spy on an embassy worker's kid, Dan, as a form of information on what the Americans think about Romania. Things take a turn for his worse as his grandpa dies of radiation poisoning. His Bunu slash grandpa was an activist for freedom, so the government had to put him down. As he's doing this, he gets word that Hungary has broken out of the Iron Curtain and that Romania is one of the only places left to serve the USSR. This made a lot of citizens start to protest under the rage that the government had betrayed them, as they are not letting them leave the country. It is also around this time when Christian finds out that his sister is an informer too. The people rise up. Christian goes to help because he's mad at Cece and is mad at the Securitate for having such a grip on his family. As he and his friend Luca rebel, Luca is shot in the arm by a SESQ sniper. Christie is now seized from behind and brought to a max security prison, where he finds Liliana. Christian escapes without Liliana because he thinks that it's too dangerous and that he will come back to get her. He finds a taxi and heads to the nearest hospital, where he finds Luca. Luca is still alive, but now Christie needs to get back to Liliana. But he's stopped when he sees his sister approach him and tell him not to go because it's not safe. He returns home, and a few hours later, the Ceausescus are captured and killed instantly. He has no whereabouts of his sister, but then finds that Liliana has escaped in riots. After the fall of Romania, it jumps to the epilogue. Decades later, as Christy works in a school teaching English, Christian reveals that Cece was killed soon after he saw her at the hospital. He then shares information he, that he later obtained from security reports on his family. He discovers not only that Cece's intentions in informing were to obtain passports so that the two of them could flee the country, but that also his mother was a governmental loyalist who had also informed. Now a high school teacher, Christian is urged by his students to write a book about his experiences. He does this and plans to give a copy to Paddle Hands after learning his true identity. And this is Ceausescu in this corner. Oh, sorry. I didn't give him a character because I thought he was more of the catalyst in the story. Not like he didn't build a personality. He was more of the reason why. And then the highlights plus lowlights. Uh, so what I liked about this novel was that it was historically accurate and that it included details about having Coca-Cola that could have got them in trouble and how that like relates to Romania back then. And then what I thought wasn't good was that the book was like way too long. Like it wasn't a long book, but it just felt like slow and you had to trudge through it because the first 100 pages, it was him like getting informed on, and then he informed, and then he kind of just went back and forth between going to his house and other events happening. So it doesn't really pick up till Hungary Falls. And then I would rate this book a 3.5 out of 5 because the first few pages were slow, but the ending was pretty satisfying. And I think I would recommend this book to people who don't know much about Romania because it really opened my eyes and gave me information I really didn't know. And that's basically it. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.